Around a year ago, I installed these 5 RGB LED recessed gimbal lights on the front of my house, and those have been great. But today we're going to be taking it to the next level by installing these Govee outdoor permanent lights. These are the permanent outdoor lights too. So not the originals and not the pros, the mid-range version. We have our accessory kit and our 2 light strands. We've got these clips, I'll talk about those later on. Extra stickies, anchors, and screws. We'll have the same thing again in here. And we have our accessory kit. So what you'll have here is your main power supply. So this is what will plug into your 120 volt receptacle. And then you have your power supply, your controller here, which you do get a fair amount of cord, it looks like, and then a whole bunch more cord here. If you need to start the lights away from your power supply, that is a possibility. And then we have these extensions too here, where it looks like you could go in between light strands if you wanted to end a strand and start another one in a different location. You could do that with these. So these, for my install, I won't be using. Now for these, I will be using the sticky back, which peels off. And a tip for this stuff is if it's not sticking, heat it up, and that should work a lot better. But if you don't want to use the stickies, you can use these clips, where this little notch, bumped out bit will go over the cord, and that little hook underneath will hook under the cord, and then you can use the screw holes and the provided anchors. There's a look at the LED chipset there. You can see you have the white LED and the color changeable RGB LED. However, with these strands here, you can see we have these connectors. So that's where you could take these apart wherever you have a connector, unplug it, and take one of these provided extensions and join to a detached light strand in a separate location. Taking them apart into smaller segments is also much easier to install them rather than trying to put up one long strand at once. I've gone ahead and plugged in the power supply and connected one strand, and that's because I need to do a pretty important test. I need to decide on my distance out from the wall, because parts of my house have a 2-foot overhang. However, I don't want these necessarily 2 feet away. I want to keep it consistent and know what that best location is. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to turn the lights down in here. Now that's dark enough to show what I need, and I only need one LED and something flat like this door here. And you can see if I hold this 2 feet out, that puts a pretty wide spread on the door. And if I put it close, it's very tight. Now I need to figure out where is that sweet spot. The tighter we go, the less throw you have, but the more intense it is right by the LED. If you go out a little bit, the throw is better, but it's less intense. Govee says to install these 5 to 10 centimeters away. 10 centimeters is only 4 inches. That's still pretty close. I will definitely not be going any closer, as 4 inches is right there. On the front of my house, that soffit area follows the pitch of the roof, so we'll actually have an angle towards it. So definitely wouldn't want to go much closer than that. Taking a look at my options for powering it, I've got a good setup here. Ran from that light fixture there is a conduit going to a receptacle. That's what used to supply power to some Wi-Fi cameras before I upgraded to the PoE. It's daytime next day here, and I could start the lights there at the edge. However, I don't think that makes sense. I think it makes more sense to start them in line at the wall, since they really need something to project onto, and there is nothing. So they should start at the wall. They'll run down to the front of the house, and then at the front, they'll continue down to that side. And I will have some excess. As to go from this corner back around to that corner, that was 111 feet, but I only have 100 feet. So we will probably be able to make it about halfway down the other side. Probably more than half. So the first thing I'm going to do is make some jigs, because I want to be about 4 inches off there and 6 inches off the front. So instead of measuring that 1,000 times, I'd rather cut a couple pieces of wood where I know exactly where I need to be. 4 inches is right there, and then the next one at 6 inches is there. I don't like this ladder here. This one here is better, so I gotta move all this crap. With this guy here, I already took the sticky off this to stick to the power supply, and then the back of this, I think I want to stick it onto the top of that box. So for that is what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some double-sided tape on the back of this, and that should stick it to that box. Govee says to plug this into a GFCI, which this is not, but our Canadian electrical code does not require this receptacle at this height to be GFCI protected, so I'm gonna go with that. And this will then plug into our first light, which will start right here in line with this guy, using our spacers, our guide that we cut out. For the installation of the lights, I did a time-lapse video, so that means I'm back with my very unscripted voiceovers that I always have to do. And the reason I did a time-lapse opposed to recording it in real time is there was just no need, as this is very, very repetitive and it's very simple. This is one of the easiest lights you could install as far as any sort of permanent lighting. This is about as easy as it gets. You peel the sticky bit off the back and you make sure to get the cord straight and try and get it where it's not all curled up or turned over, which is more easily said than done. However, for the most part, this is very, very simple. It's only the time-consuming part would be climbing up and down the ladder to reposition the ladder. If that wasn't a factor, this would go by quite quick. First strand is up. Check out the size of this spider. He's coming towards me. That thing's huge. There's the side of him. There's my hand beside it. My finger. He's pretty big. Boop, boop, boop. Get up there. Get up there. Oh no. Oh shoot, he's dangling now. Anyway, first strand's done. I had to put a piece of tape for it to not droop, because I wanted it to stay with the roof, not just pull tight. So anyways, first strand. Those things stick on there surprisingly well. They do have these screw-on caps, so if this was the end of the line, the last one, which I will have eventually, you'd screw that on to seal up the connection. One of the times here when I tried to move the ladder, the end of the cord got stuck in the ladder and I wasn't looking, and I moved it and it stopped the ladder. Like, the things are on there pretty good. Who are you? Why are you here? A350. How about it? Okay, so we'll start on the next strand. It definitely does make it much easier that the strands come in sections that are, I believe, about 13 point something feet long. I figured it was, because if this was a whole 100-foot section, it would not only be a tangled mess, as that's a lot more to untangle, but the weight of it would be quite a bit. And I was worried when putting these up that leaving the rest of it to dangle on the one that is stuck was going to pull down the rest. However, I never ran into an issue with that, except for a couple where it was actually the paint wasn't adhered to the stucco properly, so it just pulled the paint off. But luckily they do give you replacement sticky back pieces to reinstall if you need to replace one. So here at the corner, I use some tape once again to make sure the cord
hugged the corner properly and didn't just dangle and become a mess. The tape might not last forever, and if that's the case, I can come back and glue it or use something a little better. If there is someone out there that knows really what they're talking about when it comes to these Govee lights, make sure to comment what you know about them in the comment section as far as the differences between the permanent outdoor lights, the permanent outdoor lights 2, and then the permanent outdoor lights Pro, as these are the 2s, and I believe they have a LED chip upgrade from the 1, but not the total lens redesign like the Pros. However, I'm not exactly sure about the differences between the 3 generations I believe that there is. So if somebody does know those differences of what was changed, what are the upgrades between them, that'd be good to know, because I remember when I was looking at these, the Pros weren't available, they weren't on sale, and they weren't in the right length and color that I wanted, but these were. So because I was looking to get these for a sale on Black Friday, I decided to just go with these ones, as I figured they would still be an upgrade from the originals, though they aren't as updated as the Pros from my understanding. As far as what those actual differences are, I couldn't really figure it out, so that's why I'm asking if somebody does have an answer. Let me know. And others that may be looking to do the same thing, because what I do know is quite limited, and that's that these ones and the original ones have the same original lens. However, the Pros got an upgraded lens, and I think they got even more dedicated white LED chips. I believe maybe the originals didn't have any, and this got one, but the Pros got, I think, a couple different colors of dedicated white LED chips, which can just display different colors a little better as far as white colors. So there I used more tape to go around it. This side's a bit of a mess because I had to go around our service entrance as well as go around the chimney, so it's not quite as nice as the other side. I finally, after missing part of the clip, realized that my camera couldn't see where I was, so now I've relocated the time lapse for the last little section of what is to get put up. I did not have enough to go right to the back corner, but I already knew that, and this is the least seen side of the house, so I was okay with letting that 5-6 feet not be covered. Alright, well, that's the end of my strand there, so that's everything stuck up. I had a couple issues with those ones there, so one of them's facing the other way. Might have to come back and use the clip for that. I've taped up that end bit there. That's what I've done around the corners and stuff, is use that white tape. I'm not sure how long it'll stick, but for now it tidies it up. If I have to come back later on, then that is what it is. I've restuck these here instead, opposed to up in here, so I think that should be better. It's a good thing they give you a bunch of these extra sticky things. Now, last thing before I get these paired up to the app and turned on is I'm going to tidy that up, get some zip ties and clean that whole thing up there a little bit. Okay, tied that on, and that all tucked up there pretty good. So, and it's in there, so we're actually looking pretty good up here. All right, so that's all cleaned up, so now it's time to go to our app and set it up. So I'm going to go to the Govee app here, and under devices, hit the plus icon in the corner, and it's going to scan for any new devices at the top of the screen. And I'm hoping this device is going to show up, but apparently not. There we go. Under Bluetooth, it's there. Okay, and I've put the ladder away, so apparently now I gotta get it back out to push the button. Should have checked that. All right, I'm back here, so I'm going to press the button. There we go. That's now showed up. Won't let me spell lights the normal way, so that's gonna have to do. And yes, it is 6 segment, the ones I have, which is just cool. It shows you how much more you can add, but 6 segment, that's good. And I'll update it. Okay, there we go. Looks like we are all set up. I'm going to do a quick daytime check that they're all on. Yeah, looks good. Okay, so now that all the scheduling is done, I've got it set up for the setting I want. There's like generally hundreds of different options you can do. All right, it's mostly dark here. There's a million options for these things. You can make your own. Right now they're set to rainbow. I like this. That white light kind of ruins the vibe. Maybe I'll have to cover it up. So I think this looks pretty good. I'm still have some work to do as far as playing around with seeing which scene I like the best as far as what to set it to, which I think looks best, and that could take some time as there is a lot of them. But overall the installation worked well. The 4 inches away on the sides and 6 inches away on the front seemed to leave a pretty even pattern, so I am happy about how that turned out, as I wanted to make sure it looked pretty symmetrical all along the house as far as that light spread for it to look the same. However, as you guys know, we had that sloped front. So anyways, that's going to be it for this one. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave those down in the comment section down below. And if you do enjoy the channel, make sure to subscribe. Alrighty guys, thanks for watching.